On the 23rd of July 2025, we received the report that the operatives of Ga-Achi, the exercise of the operations in Oba community, went into a compound in the pursuit of some suspected cultists, and in the process they assaulted some youth coppers. Upon that report, immediately on that same day, we arrested the operatives because that act was totally outside the purview of our mandate, and the act itself is condemnable. We arrested them on the 23rd of July 2025. And here are they. Then on the same 23rd of July, we got in touch with the coppers, especially the two of them that one of them is now in the online trading video online. So we got in touch with them that same 23rd. Then took them to the hospital for medication, and we paid the hospital bills. On the 24th, they came to my office here in company of the local government coordinator of the NYC for Idemrisa local government area. And we brought out the suspects for proper identification, and the coppers were able to identify them as the people that perpetrated the act. First and foremost, we obtained statements from these suspects, and equally obtained statements from the coppers. And we told the coppers next step we were to take, which was to hand them over to police for investigation. However, the coppers, especially this particular one in the video that is trending, with her parent, pleaded with us that for the sensitive nature of that video, they wouldn't want us to hand them over to police for prosecution. Coming from them, we agreed to that. And there and then, they listed out some of the things they claimed were damaged, including laptop, phones, and other things. And we paid. Since then, because we couldn't proceed with their prosecution immediately, we kept them because we have our own code of conduct. So they have been facing our own internal disciplinary measures, because we told the family that anytime you are ready, you are willing, that we'll take them to court. And right now, as you've seen them, in further demonstration of our openness and our readiness to be fair to everybody, we are going to take them now, with or without the girl and members of our family. We're going into the police and hand them over to the police. We are not shielding anybody. There is no scapegoat. The governor of Anambra, Soludo, he has not sent us out to molest anybody. The core mandate of this outfit is to complement the federal security agencies in the protection of lives and properties in Anambra. Ga-Achi is not a group that is set out to intimidate anybody. Anytime you see any of our operatives going outside their mandate, please bring the complaints to us. This is a note of warning to other operatives, other personnel of Agunation and Ga-Achi. Any of our operatives that goes against the code of conduct and is involved in any act that is outside the mandate will be arrested and prosecuted. Everybody wants our members, our personnel, our operatives to operate, to function in line with the tenets of the law. There is a law, there's the Anambra Homeland Security Law, there's the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, there's these rules of engagement, and there's our code of conduct. I want to use this opportunity once again to apologize to the coppers, to apologize to them, and to apologize to members of their family, and also members of the public and in the Anambra, because these men went on this thing as members of Ga-Achi. So we apologize to them. And as I said earlier, because it happened in July 23rd, on 24th, when we met with them, all their demands, we have met all their demands. That is without prejudice to the fact that we are still punishing this. To assure them, these coppers and any of the coppers in Anambra State, that their security is guaranteed.
The Anambra State government has dismissed 8 operatives of the Agunechemba security outfit over the brutal assault and public stripping of a female corps member, Ms. Jennifer Elobo. The special advisor to Governor Chukwuma Soludo on community security, Ken Emekayi, disclosed this at the agency's headquarters in Awka on Wednesday. Emekayi said the government acted swiftly after receiving reports of the incident, adding that the operatives would be handed over to the police for prosecution. According to him, the dismissed officers were in pursuit of suspected cultists on Tuesday when they attacked the corps member, an action he described as totally outside the mandate of the agency and utterly condemnable. Despite pleas from the victim's family and officials of the National Youth Service call for a quiet resolution, the state government insisted on a full investigation and accountability to serve as a deterrent. Emekayi added that the government had already settled the victim's medical bills, replaced her damaged valuables, including a laptop and phone, and tendered a public apology to her family, NYSC, and the general public. He noticed that the incident would serve as a turning point in reforming the outfit and restoring public confidence in community security operations. When contacted for information on whether the operatives had been handed over to the police, the State Police Public Relations Officer, SP Tochukwu Ikenga, did not respond to calls or messages. So I really don't know if you've seen that video making the rounds about the security outfit, members of the security outfit Agunechemba beating up a corps member. It is so crazy. I really don't know to what extent, really, what may have transpired to the extent of them beating her in that manner and even stripping her naked. 8 of them. I don't know. I don't know what was going through their heads, what was going through their minds. And imagine also that video did not go out. Sure, I mean, there are several things I want to say about this because I'm just trying to put my thoughts together. Thank God for social media. Thank God for cameras. Thank God for citizen journalism. If there was no camera showing that beating, remember that beating would have been a year ago. That beating would have been a month ago. That beating would have been just yesterday. Okay? If that video was not released, she wouldn't be getting justice. I mean, if she had just gone to the police to report the case, they would have just dyed it. They would have just killed it. They wouldn't have, brought it to the fore. The activities of this young security people who call themselves Agunechemba as formed by the state government. But thank God for people's phones. People can decide to video you even from afar. We've seen how phones are used to tackle menaces in our society. We've seen how people used phones to capture thieves, to capture people going into people's houses illegally. We've seen how phones expose so many crimes, hidden cameras to that extent. So I want us to take away from this particular story, one among so many, the fact that when some things are happening, if you can record, if you have the space, the time to record, try as much as you can to record. And don't record showing people you are recording. Sometimes you can record and, not showing people that you're recording, or not showing people who are violent, that you are recording, so you don't get into trouble. So you can hide and record whatever you're doing so that you could use it as an evidence showing what had really happened. If somebody did not release that video, this lady wouldn't have gotten any justice. Justice would have been even slower. They might have even said she does not know what she was saying. She may be lying, and then she would have even received more attacks. Now, having said that, I also hope that she's safe, because we're talking about 8 boys who have been handed over to the police. What will happen when they are released on bail? Are they going to go to court? Are they going to be charged to court? And to what extent? These guys also have brothers, they have sisters. They can always trace this lady. Anambra lately has been a place of you could pick one or two insecurity situations. It hasn't been a very good, peaceful state, you could say. There's a state that has no security issues. Yes, there's a security issue. The governor is taking care of it, but to what extent? And it's a lodge. She's a co-member. Her name doesn't sound Igbo, so she's not an Igbo. She probably is a stranger in that state. So what is the extent of her safety beyond returning all her belongings, beyond giving her what she deserves, or maybe some cash and medical bills and all of those? What about her safety after now? That's two. All right. The first is the fact that you can use your phone to record incidences so that you can use as an evidence. All right. Then the second is, of course, safety of this lady, and then third is the activities of these people. Again, I want to highlight that because the reason why Agunechemba was introduced in the first place is to actually have the governor directly get involved with security situation. No doubt, you could say significantly security situation has improved with the introduction of this traditional means of securing the state. I mean, some people, have, this particular feeling of the fact that the governor was trying to form something in the neighborhood of Isakaba or Bakassi. I mean, if you remember the group Bakassi then, that were almost accurate when it comes to pointing out crime in the society. But yeah, there was a problem with extrajudicial killings that they got into. They took laws into their own hands. The plan was, after you must have apprehended somebody, then you can then hand it over to the police. But at some point, they became too powerful. Even police couldn't control them. They would become even much more powerful than the police. People feared them than they even feared the law enforcement agents. So, they needed to give way. But now people are now saying that maybe that's what Soludo is trying to do. At that point, there was some measurable success that the Bakassi guys, the Bakassi boys actually brought. But beyond the success it brought, it also brought with it its own menace. So that's exactly what I think that's happening right now. Agunechemba, since it was introduced, there have been several success stories of crime reduction in the state, but then it also came with its own chaos. Just like something like this, that only God knows how many persons that must be assaulted, that didn't have the opportunity to record these guys, how they assault people, and then all of a sudden, you have issues like this. I think some time ago they even announced, this Agunechemba group announced, that if you're a lady, if you're not well dressed, you are going to be, disgraced. And I'm like, do these guys know their boundaries? Because I don't get it. Do they know their boundaries? Do they know their limits? Because if you talk about the reason why they even stripped that girl naked and started beating her was because, she did not respond to them about the fact that they are looking for some group of boys who are Yahoo boys. And then you ask yourself, if they are Yahoo boys, and so what? What's their business? You are Agunechemba security network for the governor. How is Yahoo boy your problem or your jurisdiction? Even if you found a Yahoo boy somewhere or you are tracing a Yahoo boy, how are you not reporting that to the EFCC or reporting that to the ICPC to do their job, or maybe to the police? So why are you the one trying to enforce? And then you go to a lodge, and then they tell you this is a lodge. People produce their NYC ID card, and then you still go ahead to beat them up. This is really sad. So beyond does that, it goes to show to the extent of lack of training that these governors have given to the people whom they have employed. I'm sure that's the reason why they quickly, handed them over to the police. They sacked them, handed them over to the police for prosecution, because it's a total disgrace and embarrassment for a state run by a professor for these kinds of things to be happening. And we know that when you form something, you have the best of intentions for something, and sometimes people who are given the responsibility to man the position tend to be overzealous and tend to overdo it. to some extent, you may not necessarily blame the governor, but you could say, well, on the other hand, everything falls on top of his table. He should take responsibility, and so he has. And he has apologized to the public, apologized to the family, to NYSC, and even replaced everything that was broken of ours. But again, I just also think that the trauma that lady must have faced. I mean, look at the way she was being beaten like a common criminal, like she stole something from them, and then her nakedness. I don't know. This is the second time in just 1 week since we're having ladies being stripped naked for just practically doing nothing. The other one was in the Ibom Air saga, where we had Comfort being stripped naked. And we're not done with that, and then we're having another person being stripped naked, and then I think that it's beginning to be a pattern. Sometimes when you don't have anything to say or anything to do or to push back on something, the next thing is to try to tear a lady's clothes because you feel it's going to be a weak point for her if her nakedness is put out there. I can only imagine, how far that video must have gone. Thank God that the person who released it blurred a portion of it. You may not necessarily see everything, but there are persons who I have seen who shared the video. They're quite open, So another point is let's stop this issue of tearing people's clothes just because you feel that that's a better weakness, or that's a way of metering a measure of punishment for the ladies, So I think that should stop. That should stop forthwith. Those are my points. I don't know if you've got anything to say you can add. I would love to hear it on the comments. Many thanks.